Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Zesty Thoughts with your host, Anabla. Welcome to episode 39. I clearly have a friend with me today. Everyone, please welcome Deion.
Yes, it's me, Deion.
Do you want me to say Daryl or Deion?
No, say Deion. Yeah,
okay,
say Deion.
I'll edit that or leave it in. You let me know.
Using that name.
But we are both artists. We're trying to, we both have artist names that are not our, technically.
Well, okay.
Not our given names, but
my artist name is my middle name. I just prefer it to my first name. So it's my name. I just I forget all the time. I still introduce myself as oh, my name's Daryl, but I'm Deion.
Yeah, going by it as a weird.
I'm trying to it's feel because it's that's not my name, and I'm so used to just saying my name. I even remember when when I started college, I almost started calling myself Deion. Because I was no one knows me here. I could just switch it.
Yeah, you're
and then I was
myself.
I bitched out. No, just be Daryl.
That's crazy. Then I would have never known you as Daryl.
Exactly,
that's
right?
Crazy.
I should have done that. But now I'm I've been talking to my sister and all of different people who are artists and creatives, and they're you need to start just saying that
Yeah.
down.
Yeah.
And even now, I'll introduce myself as Daryl, and people will go to my Instagram and be like, "So is your name Daryl or Deion?" I know it's confusing.
And be confused. Yeah, I have. To
I like
careful.
to have a little air of mystery around me.
I have to be careful too. I have friends that have been telling me for years, no, just introduce yourself as Anabla, your artist name, just for.
And it's hard too, because you have to communicate that to people around you. I would still introduce you as Caitlin because that's how I know you. But
true.
It's I should be more aware of oh, this is my friend Anabla, right?
Yeah.
But you still don't think about it. But it's kind of how I kind of think about how his fans call him they call The Weeknd Abel.
Yeah,
that
is
Abel,
interesting.
get it together because his
name
name isn't The Weeknd.
Yeah.
But because I feel when your artist name clearly isn't a name, Drake's name is. Artist name is Drake, but it's a name, right?
Yeah.
Clearly, The Weeknd is not his name, so they would look up what his actual name is, and he's not a band either.
It's kind of the same when there's your teacher at school and you want to call them by their first name because it's fun, or kids go through that phase where they call their parents by their first name, and parents are no, I am mom, I'm
mommy.
dad, you
right.
know, whatever, and kids are no, you're Sharon. And then, I feel it's kind of cute though, but it's the same. I feel
I definitely was I was Lisa, and my mom was don't play with me.
I'm not the one.
That's not funny.
I'm not the one. You'll put respect on my name.
Literally.
That's so true. A lot of parents are nope, that's not my thing. But anyway, so hi everyone.
Yes.
Okay, we are here today. We're gonna chat about a lot of music stuff. Finally, we're gonna have a pod that's mostly music centered, which is great because we're both artists and musicians. So I hope you enjoy what we have to chat about today. We're gonna talk about kind of how we met, the lore behind that, and then current music projects, and just just gab a little bit about music stuff. Because every time Deion and I hang out, we are okay, let's hang out, let's write. We have a plan in mind you, on what to work on.
A plan is generous. We'll have we should do this, or it'll be a rough outline, and then we get here and we just start talking.
And we gab for 3 hours.
Literally.
And then we're wait, we should work on the thing that we plan to work on.
Our most productive we've been, it'll be talking, we've come together to do work, and we've just talked for 3 hours and being okay, bye. And the most productive we'll talk for an hour and a half, and then the next hour and a half is actually us doing work.
Yeah.
Before that, it's just talking.
There is still a pre-work gab
right.
sesh.
Even before we started this, we were talking for 45 minutes.
It's true. We got to catch up. Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah. But how did we meet?
Yeah. So Deion and I met.
Sorry, this is your show. I'm guiding shit.
No, thank you for the segue. I appreciate it because my ADD is all over the place with it. We met in college.
Yes.
I want to say you were one of the first friends that I made.
I'm pretty sure we met on the first day of college. It was
in
either
the
the
dorms,
first
right?
or second day. No, not in the dorms. Well, because we had piano together.
I was
pretty
actually
sure.
thinking on this earlier. I was what class was it that we had?
Either
I'm pretty sure it was piano.
Or piano.
The wretched piano class.
Yeah, because you had what was that lady's name? She was, I don't want to be problematic, but she's a heavier woman, and she was
I don't remember.
She had
anyone's
red hair.
name.
She was she was our professor, the piano professor.
Yes, I'm not gonna remember her name. There's no way that's not gonna happen.
She was okay, whatever.
But she pull that one out of me.
Yeah, she's fucking crazy. But we had piano together.
Yeah,
and
that was an early class,
right? I think
right?
that we had musicianship together too. Did you have Paul Smith? Yes, we did. We had musicianship together.
Paul Smith.
Yeah, we had musicianship and piano together.
Yes.
And I remember because like it was the first day of school. And I remember like of college, like ever. And I was like, I have to be cute. I have to like put on an outfit. Mind you, we went to school in the Valley and we went to school in Northridge. So it's hot and it's August, the hottest month of the year for the Valley. I went to school and it was like at that point it was like record highs. It was like 102 on our first day.
I remember actually looking at like Snap memories from freshman year, and there was one where like on Snap you can click and put the temperature.
Yeah.
One of them said 112, and I was like, oh my god,
no, it's fucking crazy,
insane.
So it was like super hot. I was like, I'm gonna be so cute. I got to like class and I was like sweating, and we were. I think we sat next to each other.
I think so too. Yeah, I think I remember that like vaguely.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are both like early morning classes too.
Yeah, I think because it was like when you're a freshman and like you were just in high school and you were used to getting up at like going to class at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, I can do it at 8 a.m. Don't do that.
That's true. Freshman year, it like doesn't feel like anything.
Oh yeah, it's whatever. It's just an 8 a.m. I like after I think the first semester of college, I did not take an 8 a.m. again. Or if I did, I had to.
Yeah. It was only out of obligation.
It was like there's only 2 classes available.
Like harmony, there was no choice, I think.
I forgot that was, oh my fucking God, that class. I'm
pretty sure there was like no choice but an 8 a.m. or like a 9 a.m. class.
I failed one class my entirety of college, and that was the one class. That shit was hard. And I hope he sees this. Our teacher was not very good at teaching. Yeah. You know why he wasn't good? You know how we know he wasn't good? Because half of our fucking class failed, and the administration, and then like the following semester, it was like all of the class got a B. That means the administration spoke to him and was like, clearly there's a problem here because if half of your class is failing, you're not. And literally, I remember the first day he was like, I talk really fast and I don't really go over things, so just keep up.
I literally remember like a disclaimer of him being like, yeah, this class is gonna be really hard. I'm gonna like I teach very quickly.
Yeah.
And like you're just gonna have to basically like buck up and like get through it yourself.
And he didn't make himself super available either. It wasn't like, here are my office hours, come we can work on harmony together. He was like, I would pull up to teach and then I bounce.
He was also like not very approachable.
So
no,
like, even he was kind of an asshole.
Here's my office hours, whatever. I feel like I would have been kind of scared to go to his office hours because he's kind of intimidating.
Yeah, no, he wasn't like a nice guy. He was definitely gay too, but that's irrelevant. But like I will say though, the first time I took that class, did not read the textbook. Just like, well, because I just
is
like.
Is there like reading involved though? Like not really.
Not necessarily. You don't have to.
Like
because there are certain
examples of things, right?
Yes, it was like
from what I remember,
showing you like how it was like executed and like what it would look like on like the staff. What's it called? The staff? Yeah. But like
you were correct.
But like it's so it would like show you like why like it was like there was reading. There was a textbook that went
like examples of like.
Right.
Chord progressions.
Exactly.
Like it was a lot of really mind-numbing stuff like that.
Right.
Cadences and stuff.
Like the least fun aspects of music. Yeah. That like are the basics of like arranging and being like if you want to like write for a symphony or something. Or
but it was like
people.
Yeah, that was like it was in the framework of like classical.
Yes.
Composition.
Yeah.
It was not. There was no aspect of it that was like. Open to modern interpretations or breaking any rules. It was actually about all of the rules.
Literally, it was like the rules of like, this is why you can't do this in an arrangement because it's not going to pair well with this sonically, so it fucks up. Like, this is why you can't do a parallel fifth. This is why this third isn't going to work here. This fourth is going to have a problem. So I will say, I didn't read the textbook the first time because but no one did, right? No one read the textbook. And like everyone just came to class and took notes and we had multiple study sessions. And I just realized the type of learner that I am, I needed to read the textbook and then I passed. I barely passed, but I passed it. It was just like, I also we went to music school. I started as a you were always MIS, which is music industry studies. Yeah. And I switched to that. I started as a vocal performance major. I was very behind musically because I came into music school not knowing how to read music because I had previously known because I played saxophone when I was younger and I just forgot and I got out of practice and I joined choir again when I was in high school. But they're just not as much with instruments. There's a lot more we have to show you how to play these notes because it's there's whatever.
Yes.
Singing, you can just play the part for them. You don't even have to really read music.
Yeah. It's also with singing, you're focused on a single melody.
Exactly.
Where other instruments, there's more harmony involved. Exactly. And also more musical symbols and musical vocab words that are actually used regularly in I don't know, like as a singer, it's like, okay, crescendo and like, I don't know, like maybe dynamics, but like not really. Cause I feel like a lot of musical directors, even I went to an arts high school. So like I had a little bit of context of like music theory, and then I took AP music theory. Yeah. Didn't even take the AP test because I found out that most colleges like don't take it, and you had to take a theory placement test anyway. So I basically took the class for no reason in high school, but whatever. But yeah, like even coming from an arts high school, I feel like a lot of like artistic directors, like people that were like directing us, like it's not like especially because it was like more like I did theater stuff and then I changed into like the pop like commercial music program. There was never terminology like, okay, now forte. Like people don't talk like that. Do you know what I mean? At least in like a pop setting. So it was kind of like,
yeah, especially in a pop setting, no way.
So as a singer, you're not really like using a lot of stuff like that all the time.
It's far less common and less necessary because like even when I was in choir, like our choir teacher would be like, okay, like grow, get louder here. They wouldn't necessarily use like a lot of like terms. Like,
they wouldn't use the vocab words,
like staccato and like they wanted to be like really like. I was saying it's just like less technical. I think it's like a double-edged sword because like I remember in music school like singers are kind of regarded as like not as strong as musicians as everybody else.
I see where you're going. Yes.
Like they're like, oh, singers don't know shit. But also I think a part of it is like paired with the education of like singers just aren't as educated as well as not as well, but just not
in the same way.
So I think that our approach to it is a little bit different. I think I don't want to say like other musicians require less like feeling, but I say like if you're a good guitarist, like every good guitarist can play these notes, right? Like as a vocalist, like the interpretation is a lot more on like your body and how you feel, what your face looks like.
It's way more
shape
nuanced.
Of your mouth. It's a lot more nuanced. So I think like that's just my opinion, and then like this is a joke, so like don't get mad at me. But I feel like low key like instrumentalists are like you're mad because it's never gonna be you. Like, you know what I mean? Like you're never gonna be like the phrase,
the non-singing instrumentalist.
Right? Yeah. Like, but I will say that like every singer needs their band. Like, I like, cause like, you know, you'll go to a show and people be like, oh my God, like, thank you so much for my band. And like the average person is like, whatever, I don't really give a fuck about that drummer. But like, no, like, thank you so much to my guitarist and my bass guitarist and my fucking, my drummer, because like, I really do need y'all up here with me.
Yeah,
but like,
I couldn't do it without.
Exactly. But it is like, there was a little bit of like a, resentment, not resentment, just like a little bit like a little beef between.
I feel like in high school that was like totally a thing. Like people were kind of judgmental towards singers, and like to piggyback on what you were saying about like the emotional qualities. I feel like as a musician, like say you're like just primarily a pianist or you're just primarily a guitarist, the amount of years of studying a specific instrument other than voice that it takes for you to like first of all just like master good tone or good.
Yes.
Like technique. Okay. That's like, that takes so long to do. Even if you're like really dedicated and you have tunnel vision and you love it and you practice, I notice a lot, even with some of my more advanced students, that like it takes so long to focus on all of those technical things that like dynamics and emotion and that like feeling behind it is almost an afterthought.
Yeah.
Because if you can't play the actual song, then it's like, what am I going to tell you? Oh, do this and that if you are getting the notes wrong still.
Literally.
You can't like instruct it in that order. It almost doesn't make sense. I'm sure there are people that would probably argue otherwise, but like in my experience with teaching, so like it takes you so much longer to like master the instrument. And then once you have the instrument mastered to an extent where you're like confident with your playing, then you can
play around
deal with those layers and the emotional aspects. But like with singing, I feel like the access to being able to play around with that is like integral to singing regardless of your level. Even if your like technique is not, like really strong yet, or you're still working on parts of your voice, I feel like regardless, even if you're just working with what you have, that has to be part of it. Because you are the one that's communicating lyrics or like a specific, you're the front person. So you have to.
Like individuality to a singer is really important because like if you're still like every singer starts off just singing like someone else's song to practice, right? You're doing a cover of a song. If you're singing exactly, even if like you're hitting the notes and they sound good, if you're singing exactly the same way, it's like I could just go listen to that singer, right? It gets to a point where it's like it has to be your interpretation. What are you doing or what is your sound like that makes this more interesting to like, and it's where you get to a point with as a singer where you like, I think every vocalist like has a few 3 to 4 artists that they really emulate, where it's like everyone's gonna hear me sing and be like, you sound like this person, right? But then you go from there being like, how do I start to interpret things to like sound like me, right? Like, we were like, planning on getting into this a little bit later, but since we're already here, I did choir a lot when I was like a young kid in church, and then also in high school, and I was in an a cappella group in college. And like, I had to get out of the habit of trying to sound like someone else, because so much of that is like, we're blending, right? You want to sound like one voice.
Yeah.
And then I had to literally be like, what do I sound like when I'm not trying to sound like somebody else, match with them, or even
or match with like a group of people.
No,
that's
literally.
true, and not stick out, because that's the whole point of singing.
Because if you're listening to an a cappella group and you can hear one specific singer who's not the soloist, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't be a thing. So and you just also, how I started learning how to sing was that I would just like listen to songs on the radio and sing like them. And so I got to, when I started recording my own music, I was like, what do I sound like? And the back and forth between like, I know like based on like my classical training, this is what technically sounds like, is technically the right approach, but like, what do I want to be stylized? What do I want to like have a certain kind of like emphasis on a word? Also like, and there are certain singers, mainly like I'll say like Ariana Grande and like SZA, who get dragged, or like we can't understand what she's saying, or like what's like, you don't. But it's like there are certain like stylizations that like just make things sound better in a song, like isms. Like, I'm not gonna say I ain't gonna. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like there are certain little things that like flow better for writing. And so it's finding like that little thing for yourself. But I think that is like, the first step is getting like a lot of technical things together, and that's so many different things that it's hard to. Also, another thing that people don't think about, your voice changes multiple times. It's like, there's like, when you're, first speaking for myself, for boys, like your voice like starts to like drop when you're like 13, 14. And then that's like the first big change. And then your voice changes like again when you're in your late 20s. And then it changes again. So like, that's the only, like, if you like, you can have like a guitarist or a pianist can have one piano their whole lives, but like, you're going to get it retuned or get a new one so
different
it has a consistent sound, right? But like, as your voice changes, you got to work with it. Like, when I was a little boy, I could sing like Beyonce. I literally was a soprano, and when my voice dropped, I was like hurt. I was like, I remember, because when I was a kid, I'm gay, if you didn't know, but like, my voice was so high and I was so feminine. I remember being like, dear God, please take this high ass voice away from me. I don't like it. Everyone keeps bullying me about it. And then when my voice dropped, I was like, God, I regret that prayer. Please give me my high voice back. I want to sing like Beyonce again. I was like, I remember being like, when I was younger, like, male songs were too low for me, because you're a little boy, like you have a little boy voice.
You're like,
I'm down there singing like fucking like Neo when I'm like 8. And when my voice dropped, I was like, I can't sing like Beyonce anymore. But you know, we learn. We work with what we have.
No, you really do. It's such an interesting like perspective. Like I agree that like as a vocalist, like copying other singers is like so important. To learn, like, you hear something, how are they making that sound? Like, if you can't somehow figure out, and like, it's also a really good way to build your ear. And like, I always instruct my students, like, try to mimic the exact tone, the exact length of the note, the exact timing of the breath, the exact like vibrato, like things like that. If you can mimic those things, then those are added to your tool belt of things that you are capable of doing as a singer. And that doesn't mean that you have to copy it exactly, but it's just more skills that you have. And like, I agree that like with the voice changes, it's like it's very like mentally, you go on like a journey mentally. Because same with me, when I was little, I could like whistle. I could get all the Mariah Carey whistle tones out. And then it's like you go through same thing when you start your period. You start to like have those kind of experiences as a girl where like your cycle kind of influences how your voice sounds. So crazy. And like with like biological men, it's like it's a 24-hour cycle, so it's like it's obviously the cycles are different. But then with women, I was just talking actually to it wasn't even my student, a student I did a makeup lesson for the other day, like a teenage girl, and we were talking about technique, and like I was recommending like a throat spray to her and all these kind of supplemental things that kind of help, because sometimes environmental things get in the way.
Yeah, of course.
But I was like, also like when you're on your period, like you notice kind of a difference hormonally and how that can impact your voice. That's an added layer. It's like the puberty thing where the boy's voice is cracking.
Yeah.
It's that same thing. Girls go through that, and then their cycle then kind of can influence their voice and how their ability to control it and all of that. But then you're right, it changes again. And then I feel like in college, very vastly different tonal quality of my voice compared, or like as I was getting through college, you know, and now compared to like when I was post puberty, like in high school. So it's interesting.
It is. That's just like, I'm just gonna make a quick note. That's such a thing. That's like, sometimes there are moments where I'm like, damn, like male privilege is, that's why people are like, when men are like, there's no male privilege, you're a fucking liar. Because as a singer, I never have to think about like, oh, I'm on my period today. I might not be able to, like, my cramps are affecting my ability to breathe as deep, so I can't hit my, like, that is such a, I was like, I've never ever thought about that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, obviously female singers have periods. I've just never been like, damn, like, there's a day that like you go see SZA or whoever and she's on her period and she has to perform and she wants to lay down. Yeah, like, that's so crazy.
You're right. Yeah. Honestly, I remember some like backward ass like musical director. Like they weren't backward ass like across the board, but when they said this, I was like kind of thrown off by it at a young age, because I was like, what the hell? Maybe I just didn't have the capacity to like understand what she was talking about. But she was saying that like, oh, when you're on your period, that like you shouldn't sing and you shouldn't perform. And because of like the way that it can impact like hormonally, whatever. And apparently that like, I don't think this is like, I'm assuming this is not common practice anymore anywhere in the world. But at one point, like if you were a professional like opera singer, if you were on your period, like you wouldn't perform like on your periods. Like you would never schedule shows or gigs or events like while you were on your period. It was like this I don't know if it's like an unspoken thing or if it was like a no, you're not allowed. Like I don't know. But I heard from her that there was like some lore surrounding that with opera singers. Yeah. But that's like outdated. I'm assuming most people don't. People just push through it now. You know what I mean? Like we're used to pushing through it. So.
We both have like traditional, like you had vocal lessons and stuff way before college.
Yeah, when I was like 8 or 9, I started. Yeah.
But I didn't have like a private lesson until I was like 16, 17 years old. But like we both received like classical opera training in college.
Yeah.
And opera is just such an interesting space because there's like, I mean, there's so much like weird shit that singers do to preserve their voice. It's like, I drink water with this kind of bullshit in it, and I don't have. Well, there's like, because like all of the things that you like would have to do to maintain your voice at all times the best you can is so irritating. And like, if like once, God willing, or Lord, universe willing, whatever, once I'm a touring artist, I will do all the things. I won't be smoking weed. Yeah. I'll be like waking up and doing my fucking like
steam.
Yeah. I'll be drinking only water with lemon. I'll do all the things when I'm on tour because like you're paying for tickets and you deserve me at my best.
Yeah,
but
true.
the average person is not. I'm not doing that every day.
It's exhausting. It's not very sustainable.
No,
That's
it's
so
not.
true.
Like, especially artists like we are. It's like we're not like. We're at one point we're going to like, y'all are going to know our names, but like we're not at the point where it's like you have a team and you whatever. It's like I have a job. I go to work at a restaurant and I work at a yoga studio. Yeah. So it's like I don't have a life that is like I can constantly be worrying about, especially even where it's like I'm not singing all the time in terms of like gig. You're Anabla is a gigging musician. She gets paid to sing. I have not gotten paid to sing in years. But I know. Soon. But soon, yeah. But that's actually one of my goals for this year is to like before the year's over is to like have some form of a live show.
Yay.
Even if I don't get paid, I'm not worried about getting paid right now. I just want to sing in front of people. But yeah, I'm not singing all the time. I'm not recording all the time, right? If I was in a process where it's like I'm recording a lot more and singing live a lot more, I'd probably be doing more stuff to make sure my voice is at a certain level. But like even the way that, speaking of vocal teachers, even the way that I talk, like I remember when I first met my vocal teacher, I was talking to her and she was like, why do you talk like that?
At
CSUN, yeah. And I was like, what? And she was like, you talk like your voice is doing this like little grovelly, like you might be able to like the fry. Yeah, and she was like, why do you do that? Too. And I think a part of it is like I think as a gay man, I was like, I was bullied for my high voice. So I think like there's like some mental mind trick that I do, especially when I'm first meeting people, where I'll like lower my voice a little bit and have it be raspy just to like make me sound like more like, I don't want to give it away automatic. It's like a mental thing.
Yeah, that's such a bummer though.
But I'm also not finna be up here like, hello. I'm not gonna be like sounding like Mickey Mouse for the sake of Maybe like, cause like there's
Yeah.
even like theories about Michael Jackson's like speaking voice, where it's like there's people who heard his real voice, like how he sounded when he talked to us or in interviews, like he spoke up here to keep his voice high, right?
Yeah.
But like I'm not. I already sound like Mickey Mouse, low key. I'm not gonna sound even more like Mickey Mouse every day.
Yeah, I don't have the
just
energy to
around
like
people.
think about the way I talk.
So for the sake of being able to hit like a C sharp every fucking day, like I'm not yet. Maybe at some point, but not right now.
Yeah. No, like exactly. If we were doing this full time,
Yeah,
that was our only full time job, was like just to focus on that. That would be like part of your like full time job is like to focus on that to hyper focus on vocal health, and it's like we're just doing the best we can out here.
There's
Everyone
even like
is.
a lot of artists. Well, a lot of vocalists who are artists, but like the people who really value sounding vocally good when they're touring. Well, like when they are talking when they're on stage and when they're backstage, when they're like off of the show, they don't speak.
Yeah, vocal rest is so important. I have to do a lot of vocal rest very frequently because I teach children, and I have to kind of catch myself with most of the kids. I try not to do like a baby voice because like they're kids. I'm not trying to like baby them. Yeah. But there are some students that like I do find that it is mandatory. If I'm not lighthearted and, bubbly in that way, they're not receptive. Yeah. And so, I do find myself kind of altering my tone sometimes at work. And I do notice that sometimes it's a little exhausting. Yeah. And then I have to kind of check myself. So a lot of the times I find that with my schedule after work, I have to be really mindful of like resting my voice at the end of the day because I talk a lot. Yeah. And when my students are not playing, I'm explaining things to them or I'm talking to the parents. So
I think, because you use it all the time, multiple times, like multiple moments throughout the day, like you forget that your voice is a muscle. And think about like any other muscle. If you were constantly working out this muscle, like it needs rest eventually. But because we need to speak, like you just don't like think about like taking time, be like, okay, I'm just not gonna talk for like a few days. Yeah. So like my voice can just like chill out. And like also life is not conducive to that. Most people's lives are not conducive to like, I'm just not gonna. I remember like I would try to do I did vocal rest a few times, like a few days. And I like tried to do vocal rest when I was in college, and like teachers would be like, just say it, talk. Even I remember like my voice teacher said like, you're on vocal rest, tell your music teachers and they should respect it. My music teachers wouldn't respect it. They'd be like, whatever, we're in class, just say the answer.
All right, segue into our next segment. We're going to chat a little bit about like current inspirations and or just past inspirations, things that led you to, pursue being an artist, and kind of why what motivates you to work on your craft and put your music out there and your art out there and your talent out there, where that comes from and like what motivates you.
I think it's like it's such like a big question because like that's so many different things. Like what makes me want to be an artist, or like I don't know. I think I've always had like a personality where I have a lot to say, clearly. And like I have a lot to like, I want to stand up for people. I want to like speak out. Like I want to like it isn't my most natural state, like take up space and be heard, right? And I think that artists really get the space to do that. And I think when I was a kid, like one of the first artists that I saw that like blew my mind was Michael Jackson, obviously. And I think I was just like, it's so cool that like, first of all, I've always loved singing and dancing. Like ever since I was a kid, like my whole family was like, oh yeah, like I would literally just be in the corner and they'd be like, fella, go dance. Fella's my nickname. And they'd be like, fella, go dance. And I would be like, okay. And just known for like, I was like, this is embarrassing. Oh my God. Like kill myself. But like I was a middle of the circle child in middle school and elementary school. I would get in the middle of the circle and I would dance.
So much.
And I would have a little yeah.
Of course but, were.
I've always loved like performing. There's something about it. Like I think as naturally as a person, I'm kind of like, I'm gonna say like across the board, I'm like insecure, but I'm not like my natural inclination isn't to just like be super loud and take up space and be super whatever. But like I think I naturally end up doing that because it's on my personality. But like on stage is the one place where I felt super comfortable, like taking up space and like being seen. It was like, y'all know about signs and shit. You know how you have you have your sun and your moon and whatever. My moon is in Leo, And once I realized what that meant, I was like, oh, that makes sense to me. Because like there is a part of me that loves to perform, loves to like attention, loves to like do that. But like my son is in Cancer. So I'm also very much like, don't look at me, but look at me. So I think like, and I think I also understood at a very young age that like music is the most powerful, I think, art to reach across multiple platforms, right? Because I saw videos of Michael Jackson and people loving him in like Asia, different parts of Asia and Europe, and like how universal he was.
Yeah.
And I think also it appealed to me like as like a a young like black kid who like I went to a mostly like a all white school, elementary school to like high school. So I think it was like, look at this person who like Michael Jackson didn't end up looking at me like me by the end of his life. But like there are multiple, especially like growing up in the 2000s, I feel like 2000s like R&B was really dominating. Like the top 5, top 10 was always like Sierra, Usher, Chris Brown, like Beyonce. It was like very much like black artists, and I was like,
ran the music industry.
Yeah, like for me it was kind of like, if I can be like them, it doesn't matter that I'm black. I can be like, everyone's gonna like, because I'm good at dancing and singing, like it's gonna like, I think that was attracted to me as like a kid. And once I got to a certain age and realized I was like, oh, like I can sing, like there are people telling me like I can have a good voice, like I was like, oh, I could be like them, like I could like I think that's what really like got me into it, is like realizing that I could see myself in these people and I had the potential to do it, was like really inspired me. And I was also like in a very supportive environment in terms of my interest in the arts, right? Like my mom took us to Alvin Ailey shows when I was a kid, and like we saw musicals. My 13th birthday present was Wicked. Like I asked to see it, and I begged my mom.
So cute.
And it's one of my favorite gifts I've ever gotten in my life. Thanks, Mom. But yeah, like my mom's like a big movie person. She loves to read, so she loves like that like culture and like art and stuff. So I think that she loved having a kid who was so interested in it. So we were in like tap dancing lessons when I was like 5. Like I took ballet when I was 8 in a hip hop class. Like I think a big part of the reason why it was facilitated and that like I was even saw it as a possibility is because like my mom made it so, and even my dad too, like made it so like this can be something that happens for you. Like if you really have passion behind it, like you can go do it. I think that a lot of other kids who look like me in my neighborhood, whatever, didn't have the same opportunity to like, and I kind of in a weird way had to make space for myself, because like every room that I walked into from like age 5 to 17, most times I was the only black kid, especially in like theater and choir. Like there would maybe be in my choir of almost 80 kids, there was 3 black kids, I think, at most. And so I'm kind of like not paving the way, but creating space where it's like, yeah, there are people, like I don't see anyone in here who looks like me. And even especially as in musical theater at the time, like there was not a lot of space for black people. And it's like, it's opening up more now, but like I'm being that black person who does theater when I'm coming into this, when I'm in this theater class, or when I'm like in a choir, like I'm like, oh, black people can do this, but I just didn't see a lot of that.
Yeah.
But I think a part of the reason why is that like my mom created space for that, where she like, we went and saw an NDRE concert when I was like a little kid in the city. Like she took us to Alvin Ailey. Like she was like, there are people who look like you, even though I think a part of it was like why she did that is because she knew it's like, I'm sending my black children to a very Caucasian environment. So I want them to know like there are people that they can aspire to be greater than what they see in their neighborhood, and also what people are telling them at school, or not even necessarily like people are telling us we can't do it, but like how they treat us, right?
Yeah, I mean, you feel that in that environment, even when you're a kid and you don't know like how to explain it,
right?
You know, that obviously is like a huge testament to like how important like representation is.
Yeah.
And like you're lucky that some of your idols, like when you were young, you know, you were able to look up to people and there was some representation in the pop world. But you're right, maybe like stepping into that theater world, your mom recognized that, oh, well, there's all these pop artists, but like there isn't that much in the space that he's currently in now. So like I need to make sure that I provide that and support that, so it doesn't get discouraged when he's like a minority in a space like that. So that's really great that she
and my mom just like loves music, and I have a very like musical family. My family has a family song that like, but literally it's I don't know how, I remember There's a tree by the river, and that tree was used for the healing of the nation. It's like an old
I feel like I recognize it.
Like some kind of like Negro old like song, but like my family has like a family song, and like I just remember like music. I think this is consistent with most people, but like music was just always around me and present and really valued.
Yeah.
And I think like I was always just like very supported. Like when I was like, yeah, I want to go to school for a vocal performance. My mom didn't say that's a bad idea because you're not going to get a job. She would have been right, but but she was
and
like,
here we are,
literally. But she was like, if that's what you want to do, then that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
She loved when I switched to music business, though. She loved that. She was like, that seems like a good idea. And honestly, it was because I think that like the knowledge that we've attained from being music business majors, I think is the base level of knowledge you need for the music industry. And most people go into it with none of that.
Yeah.
So I really am grateful that I switched over. But yeah, to go back to like where my love of art came from. But yeah, I think it was just like I think it's probably like there's so many stories of like why like people who are like othered in terms of like sexuality, race, flock to communities, flock to artistic spaces because it's like, that is celebrated because it's like you have an experience that isn't like mine, therefore you see a world in a different way, therefore you can make art in a different way.
Yeah.
And that's interesting. And in a almost all white environment, I flocked to those spaces because I was like, okay, like I might not be accepted out there, but in here, me being weird or me being different or me being not like everybody else is like feels like celebrated. Also, like I look back at my experiences as like a young Black child in like a all white environment. And I think that like some of it was in my own head. Like I think like I grew up in the Bay Area. Like it wasn't like there was like homophobia. There wasn't any homophobia, but like I grew up in a fairly accepting community. I think that like I'm in my own head. I was like, oh, like because the black people are so steeped in the church, like no Black people are gonna accept me for being queer, right? And I think I wish I could have gone back and be like, no. Like they might be making little stupid ass jokes, but like they don't really truly give a fuck that you're gay.
Yeah.
But that's how I felt at the time. I was like, oh, like, and I mostly had white friends when I was in high school and elementary school and whatever. And I feel a lot more connected to like my Blackness in my community now. But that's just like something that I experienced. But yeah, it's part of the reason why I think I flocked to theater and to choir and all and the arts because it just made me feel like this thing. Also, like I said earlier, like I was really insecure about my speaking voice. My voice being high and sounding the way it does is celebrated in theater and choir, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of things that I felt like made me bad or made me not bad, less desired or less like the one where like I was like, okay, when I was like, I might not be the best at math. I might not be the best at sports, but I know I can entertain you when I get up there and sing and dance.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, this is clearly made. I say this all the time that like sometimes I wish like there was something else that I felt super, super drawn to. That was like, this is I'm meant for this. I like since a kid, I feel like I've meant to be a singer and a dancer, like and to perform. That's like what I meant to do. So like, yeah, it's just like I can't even really specifically say there was like one moment. I have multiple moments. It was just like something that's always felt like this is true within me. Like this is something that like I'm going to do, and I was empowered to believe that it was possible at like a very young age. So yeah. And I just fucking love music, man. I mean, like
it's fun.
I love everything. Like I love music videos. I love hearing a song over and over again, and you find a new thing every time. I love like the pop star of it all, like a look, like a presentation. I love an era. Like I love like when people have like, oh God, sorry. I don't want to make the Swifties mad. But I love like when you think about the Loud era by Rihanna, red wig. When you think about Sasha Fierce, everything was black and white.
Yeah.
I love like definitive things like that. I love like at this point in our careers, like I'm analyzing rollouts. I'm like, how did they push this project out? Like, why did this impact like well, or like what are they pairing with and like with their songs or like with their narrative to make it make sense where it's like leading into this product endorsement or this other thing that they're doing, right? Yeah. Like even this, it's like, okay, like I like to talk. I can talk for fucking ever. Like let me hop on my friend's podcast.
Yeah.
And also like talk about being an artist in my song that's got to come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just love music and all the things surrounding it. Like I watched the you should watch it if you haven't watched it already, but there's like a documentary on Hulu about like Motown. Loved that shit. Like how Motown Motown is the blueprint for the modern record label, American or otherwise. American labels don't want to develop artists anymore, but like that's what they used to do, and that's what Motown started. Motown like there was like here we have our dance studio, you can teach you how to dance. Here we have our etiquette class where we teach you how to act, basically act for white people, but like basically teach you how to like be presentable. We have a vocal coach over here. The studio's right over there. It was like all about like development. So I just love like just everything about it. And
Yeah, I'm the same way. Like, I think it's just fun. It's always been something that I've gravitated towards, just for like honestly for the sheer fun of it. And I there were some moments in my like early childhood, like in elementary school, where I was like I've always been kind of like this, like a semi-shy person. But then when I get to know someone, or I can see that like a connection is valid there, then I open up like a lot. Some would say too much. Some would say I overshare a little bit. Yeah, but yeah, like I just remember at like a very young age, I have this vivid memory of I was in Girl Scouts, and a lot of the girls in the Girl Scout troop were all of them really were like very friendly, but there was this feeling growing up, at least for me personally, where like I felt like there was something like a little bit like personality wise, interest wise, like what I liked, things I like to do, shows I watched, things like that. There was definitely a gap between what I enjoyed and consumed and like what other girls did at that age. So like to me, there was some semblance of like, I feel like a little bit different. Yeah. And at that age, that's how it manifested through like things like similar interests, you know? And then I have a vivid memory of being like after a Girl Scout meeting, like being outside and like the moms are all talking. And I literally remember overhearing, cause I was also like, once I got close to those girls, I was an open book. I was crazy. And I was like, I had moments of hyperactivity as a kid, not all the time, but definitely moments. And I overheard, I myself as like a 6-year-old overheard one of the moms saying like, oh yeah, like there has to be something wrong with her. Like she must have ADD or ADHD. Cause like the way she behaves, like going on about me. And I have this
Bitch,
vivid.
You're so pressed.
Yeah, I have this.
I'm a child.
Well, I know this is kind of fucked up now that I look on it, but I remember thinking in that moment, well, like at least I'm not fucking boring like your daughter.
Help.
Because your daughter doesn't speak a word, so at least I'm not fucking mute.
And the part of the reason why she doesn't talk because she doesn't like you. So let's be fucking real.
Yeah, I mean that's obviously now I know that's not like the mature.
Her mom, not like you.
Yeah, that's not the mature, perspective to have on this situation. But as a kid, I was pressed. I was like, damn, like, are you jealous because I have a personality and your daughter doesn't?
Because
like,
why are you over here talking about a child?
Yeah,
like that's
craziness.
So weird.
Craziness. So I low key feel like that's one of those like. What's it called? Like my villain, like
your villain origin story.
Origin story. That's like when it all flipped for me, and I was like, oh, like okay, like so I am different. And then it was like validated by like a parent. Yeah. And then I had beef with that parent.
Fuck her.
For the longest time. I'm like, whatever. It is what it is. I have no hard feelings now.
If you see this, we don't fuck with you.
But it's just so crazy that like somehow that over the years has kind of fueled me. And so in the same way, like. Being in a theater space where I can be loud, I can be fucking dramatic as fuck and over the top, and the directors are like, "We'll tell you if it's too much."
Literally,
if you think it's too much, it's probably perfect. I'm like, I can be as much as I want. Yes, like, oh my god, okay, God. This is my space here. I'm so glad. And I feel like being in the music industry also, like you grow, you learn, you grow into your own, but like you can be as much of yourself as you want as an artist because you are you. You know what I mean? Like you put that into like your artist project and the music you make, and then you make it what it is. You know what I mean? And then people are gonna flock to that like authenticity no matter what. Yes. But so I feel you,
because I definitely felt that way too as a kid, where it was like, I mean, like I see a lot of, when I say see a lot of things, I mean TikToks. I see a lot of TikToks that make me feel like I have ADHD. When they're like, I was like, oh, I didn't know this behavior was connected to this mental health disorder. Maybe I might have it. But it's like almost all the ones that are about ADHD, I'm like,
Yeah,
well,
like, I might be
but like,
undiagnosed.
I was just like that. I was had a hard time sitting still. I will say that I think I got not picked on, but I think it's easier to see the black child doing things bad, or he single me out for talking amongst all, because I'm the one black kid. But I'm also like, it's not my fault that I'm the funniest and everyone's just laughing at my joke. I'm so sorry about it. But like, yeah, I talked a lot. I would just literally get up and spin and start do stupid shit. I could not sit still. And I was like, I felt like a lot of younger years, probably around the same age, it was like, you're too loud, you're being too much.
Yeah. Especially you talk too much in class. Yeah,
I cried a lot. I was a very emotional child. I'm a very emotional person now. Cancer. And I was like, you cry, cancer. Yeah. But you crying all the time. But I feel like being emotional, being loud, all those things were just we want more of that. And it's so funny, but because you're so conditioned to not be like that, that when you finally get to the space where you're they're like, no, more. And you're like, wait, really? You want more?
Yeah.
I thought that was irritating as fuck.
Yeah, you're every adult figure I've ever known has
been
told me
shut
not
the fuck
to
up.
do that. Yeah.
So it's
and
okay.
You want me to?
It's
Sick.
there is a space for people like me, or where I don't have to feel bad about all of these things that make me feel like I'm doing too much every other whatever. And I think that's why I've carried that a lot into my life, as an adult, where it's hard for me to be loud and take up space, because I haven't been in theater, haven't been performing for a while. So I feel like I kind of got out of the practice of not being so scared of it.
Same. Yeah.
But literally, I posted on Instagram for the first time in months the other day, and I almost had a panic attack. So it is it's something that you carry into life with you, and I have to fight it back, because you're right. What people want from you is that authenticity. They want that uniquity. They want you to not be like everybody else. And I've more recently in my life, I'd say the past 3 years, I've been tapping into that little kid, the one who was I don't give a fuck about you seeing me do weird shit. I want to be super literally, because it's at the end of the day, your opinion, I have to tell myself, y'all's opinion, or whoever's opinion doesn't fucking, it doesn't fucking matter. It matters if I love myself and I love what I'm doing. Yeah. And you have to there's a middle ground, obviously, because it's you want to these people are supporting you. You want to give them what something that they want, something that they want to engage with. But also I can't live my life in fear of someone thinking that I'm not cool, or that I'm whatever, because it's it's gonna stop me from doing so much stuff.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of admiration for people who just are I don't give a fuck. I do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be more like that.
Yeah. I agree. I was way more like that when I was little.
Yeah.
And I don't know what ruined that shit for me.
Life.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that mom, honestly, maybe that was the turning point.
But no, it's life.
I don't know.
It's all the little things you experience as you get older that just be that I think, because it's something that I've can notice consistently with older people who don't mind being older and getting older, is that I've never lost touch of the child inside. I never stopped doing things that are new or interest me, or things that make my little kid version of me happy.
Yeah.
And as you get older, as you have to start paying bills, and have to worry about eating every day and paying for it yourself. All these little things kind of start to chip away at your light, and you're just catch, because when you don't have no bills to pay and you just go to school every day, life is great.
Yeah.
You're just woo, woo.
That's so true.
But
you can be carefree.
Yeah, because you don't have to worry about shit.
Yeah.
And as you get older, this is a part of, it's something that I really struggled with in my early 20s, and I was I don't want to deal with this. It's but you have to.
Yeah.
Are you alive? You have to. So it's I got to the point where I was suck it up and deal with it, and but also still find joy where you can, because that's what keeps you tapped into that artist. I think a part of the reason why because I had a few years in my life where I wasn't prioritizing making music or being an artist at all, and I was doing what I thought I was supposed to do. I was I went to college, I got a degree, I should get a good job, and I had to tap back into okay, what do I want to do? What did that little kid want to do? Because I know that little kid into this adult never wanted to sit at a desk.
Yeah.
And be I worked in urban radio, and I worked in copyright registration. I never wanted to be doing the work for the artist. I wanted to be the artist. I think at some point in my career, I do want to switch that. I would love to have a label at one point.
Yeah.
But I was I never wanted to. I always planned on being the artist. So I had to just be like, okay, do what you want to do and do what makes that kid happy. And like, yeah, because I think that's what creatives like have, is that we like don't let loose like that lust for life and for new experiences.
Yeah,
because, that sounded so deep.
No, it's super important. Like,
No.
I listen to Brittany Broski's podcast literally every week, and she does comment a lot on like ways that she is kind of trying to get in touch with like her inner child and like get back into some of the passions and like things that she enjoyed as a kid in order to like bring herself a little bit more joy with all the struggles and all the you know, all the hard times that you like go through in adult life, like making sure that you can kind of ground yourself. And just she's speaking on just like how important it is to fall back on those things as like ways to kind of like support your soul or like support your, you know, your journey. And just like a little reminder, like sometimes I'm the same. I have to think about like young me and just like the goals that I had or the dreams that I had. And like, honestly, like we live in LA, so like so many people would like die to live here, and that we just have to like take it. I sometimes have to remind myself, like, I need to take advantage of like where I live and the proximity that I have to like endless amount of like other creators and creative spaces that are really conducive to specifically music and small artists. And
something I'll say super sorry to interrupt you, but like something I'll say super quick that I found as I've entered more into becoming an artist and dedicating more time to that is that like people want to help you. Like creatives really want, especially if they like see that you are passionate about what you're doing and you really value it and it's important to you. Like I've been like very, very pleasantly surprised by all the people who I've reached out to and been like, I need some help with this, and they've been like willing to work with me and not charge me. Like I'm not that bitch. I'm not like gonna be like, can you work with me for free? I know like you have a job or whatever, but like, fuck that. I'm not that. I'm like I really want to work with this. How much are you charging? Like what is your rate? Da-da-da-da. And I've had people be like, don't worry about it. Like, I want to work with you. And I'm like, really? Like, thank you. Because I appreciate that shit. Like, I have a job too. I have stuff to do too. So like taking time out of your day to work with me for free on my little song. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Or giving me a discounted rate or whatever. Like people, especially creatives who are still like, I don't want to say starting out, but still in a place where they're like developing or not necessarily at that point where it's like, I have a consistent money coming in and gig. They really want to help you because they know what it's like. There's also so much stuff about perception of like, just because someone's Instagram looks cool and they are working a lot doesn't mean that they have a whole bunch of money. It just means that they have a good mastering of aesthetics and like they're working, but it doesn't mean they're like super rich or whatever. So that's why I think like I do value people's time by asking like how much they do pay, because like I value that time, but also like, you know, don't let optics get too in your way. People want to work with you. Like they want to help you out, especially when they see like the passion that you have for it.
Yeah.